Hey everybody, it's me, friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and this is my series, Nails in a Coffin, where we learn that with great kills, there must also come great nails. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel. Now, we're over a month in with the Puppet Master franchise, and today, we're going to be nailing Retro Puppet Master. Before we get started, here's a look at the average nails in a coffin for all the movies I've covered so far. And you can see that the last movie we covered, Curse of the Puppet Master, has the lowest average with only one nail in the coffin. Now, before I get started, I have to mention it's really weird that every time I cover a big franchise, I start getting messed with my videos. When I covered Friday the 13th, it was Jason Voorhees. When I covered Halloween, it was Michael Myers. Now that I'm covering the Puppet Master franchise, somehow one of my fingers was brought to life, I imagine, and I think he kind of wants me dead. I caught some movement of him a few weeks ago, but I haven't caught any movement recently. But this is what I found this morning. So yeah, I think he's sending me a message, but I do have something up my sleeve. I just think a phone call is going to be in order. Since we're covering Retro Puppet Master, I do want to mention the beginning of this movie takes place after the events of Puppet Master 3, and then we get a flashback, and then the majority of the movie is when Andre Toulon is just a young man. Now, we didn't have Andre Toulon show up in Curse of the Puppet Master. Of course, he is back in Retro, and he is played by Greg Sestero.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Oh, hey, Johnny, what's up?
I have a problem with Lisa.
Yep. Mark from one of the best So Bad Good movies ever made, The Room. He's playing Andre Toulon. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss a video. Also, feel free to share this video around as well. I really appreciate it. Thanks again. Now, let's get ready, sit back, relax, and let's put some nails in a coffin with Retro Puppet Master. Toulon and his puppet friends are still on the run, and right now they're hiding in a rundown hotel just a few miles from the Swiss border. Andre is looking around and he finds a tin of sardines, and I kind of like the way the movie started like that because it shows you the struggles that Andre has been facing since he's been on the run with his puppets. So he finds a tin of sardines and he's saying, hey, all I need now is a tin opener. Well, Blade raises his blade hand, and then the head of one of Andre's old puppets, Cyclops, rolls to the floor. Andre picks it up and you can tell he's kind of reminiscing, and then he tells the story to his puppets of how he met the woman he loves, Elsa, and the adventures he had with his retro puppets that took place in Egypt starting in 1902. Andre starts with an Egyptian sorcerer telling a tale of him named Afzal, who he stole the secret of life and is fleeing servants of the evil Egyptian god Sutek, the villain from Puppet Master 4 and 5. Two of the servants are chasing Afzal through some corridors, and they finally catch up to him when Afzal stops running. They tell Afzal he's going to die for stealing the secrets of Sutek, and they try some magic on him, and they think it's working, but it really has no effect on good old Afzal. He then uses some magic on his own, and he kills the two servants of Sutek. I'm going to rate these first two deaths at the same time, since, you know, the way they died simultaneously, and I'm going to give them both one nail in the coffin apiece. You know, the magic they had didn't really work on Afzal at all. They saw that. But they just stood there and tried the same thing again. And they were pretty much as puppets for Sutek, even repeating the same line one after another. They never moved, never tried something different. They just stood there. Whatever didn't work, they tried it again. It was way too easy for Afzal to kill him. They didn't put up any type of struggle or defense. So they're both going to get one nail in the coffin apiece. While this was happening, a young Andre Toulon,
Oh, hi, Mark.
is performing a puppet show, and in the audience is a young woman that will eventually become Andre's love, Elsa. Elsa is very much enjoying the show. She just ran away from her abusive home life, so she's enjoying herself, and she really seems enamored with Andre. But in the sewers nearby, there are three mummies, which were created by Sutek. They hire two thugs to kill Afzal, and they have to use the thugs since Afzal has the power to sense the coming of the mummies. When Andre's puppet show is letting out, Afzal was still being chased by the two thugs. They catch up to him and they start brutally to beat him up outside of the theater. Before they can actually finish the job, Elsa, who is walking out of the theater, she sees them and she's running towards them, screaming for help. She scares them off and they take off running away. Elsa ran back to the theater after the thugs ran off, and she got Andre to help Afzal. They bring him inside the theater and they start nursing him back to health. Later on, he's talking with Andre Toulon, and he reveals to him that he knows the secret of life. Toulon really doesn't believe him until Afzal begins to make the puppets move. And Andre Toulon then realizes that, hey, this guy is being authentic, and he starts to learn the secret of life from Afzal. And while this was happening, we see that the two thugs that the mummies hired were killed off screen by the mummies for failing their mission. Their deaths were off screen, so I'm going to be unable to give them a nail rating. During the day, Andre takes a step outside to take a break and get some air, and he talks to this beggar who always sits on the step to the theater. Unfortunately, the beggar had passed away. Afzal then goes outside and he convinces Andre to bring the man inside. Afzal then teaches how to put the beggar's soul into a puppet. He has a special ring with a hidden needle on it, so Andre then, following instructions, he pokes the beggar with it in the back of the neck, and then he pokes the puppet. He says some magic words, and we are given birth to Retro Pinhead. Later on, Elsa returns to talk to Andre, but the people who work for her father, who is the ambassador, they show up and they take Elsa and Andre back to their house. Andre talks to her father, but he's knocked out and thrown into the woods. The next 4 deaths all happen in quick succession, and all 4 of these men work for Andre Toulon. Vigo and Valentine are in the theater when Sutek's mummies arrive. They're not supposed to be in there, so Valentine confronts them, but he's killed with magic from the mummies. Vigo then sees this, he takes off running, but before he can get away, the mummies hit him with magic, and he collapses and dies backstage in front of Duval and Latour. The mummies enter backstage right as Vigo falls to the floor, and Duval sees this, he picks up a knife, and he tries to stab the lead mummy in the hand, but it has no effect on him. Eventually, he's hit with mummy magic, and he's killed. Latour, he picks up a pistol, and he fires at the mummies, hitting them until he's out of bullets, but the bullets had no effect on him. He tries to run away, but then he's cornered by all 3 mummies, and he gets a triple shot of the mummy's blurry hand magic that seems really powerful and kills him, so he falls down and dies. These deaths were in quick succession, so we're going to start with Valentine, and I'm going to give him 2 nails in the coffin. You know, he had intruders, and he went to confront them, and it's not his fault they used magic that he really couldn't fight against. He stood up for what he believed in. He was defending the place where he worked. He was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he was the victim of mummy magic. He wasn't given much of a chance to do anything else because it happened so quick, so he's going to rest with 2 nails in the coffin. Vigo is next, and I'm also going to give him 2 nails in the coffin. He saw his friend get killed with magic, and he probably thought, hey, I need to get the hell out of here, since he doesn't know what the hell he just saw. He was just no match for the magic. He tried to get away to get to his friends, Duval and Latour, but he wasn't given much of a chance, and he collapsed to the floor as he was dying from that blurry hand magic. So I'm going to give him credit for not just standing there, and I think he earned himself a solid 2 nails in a coffin because he wasn't given much of a chance. Duval was next to get killed, and he earned himself 2.5 nails in a coffin. He saw danger when Vigo fell dead backstage, and he immediately grabbed a knife and tried to attack one of the mummies. You know, he didn't freeze and stare, and he really didn't show any fear. I was close to giving him 3 nails, but I feel like he waited just a little bit too long with the knife in the mummy's hand for him to react to it. He knew he was going to die anyways, probably, so his fate was sealed, but he just almost got 3 nails in the coffin. He could have done a little bit more, but at least he defended himself. He didn't freeze up. So he is going to earn himself a solid 2.5 nails in the coffin. And wrapping up these 4 deaths, we got Latour, which was the last of Andre's assistants to get killed. And I'm also going to give him 2.5 nails in the coffin. After he witnessed Vigo collapse in front of him and Duval getting killed, he went to go grab a pistol and started firing right at the mummies. Unfortunately, it wasn't his fault. The bullets had no effect on him. And when Latour noticed this, he knew to flee, only to be surrounded by another mummy, and then he was killed by all 3 of them. He didn't do anything stupid. He was brave, but he was just outnumbered by magical beings. I did take a little bit points off since he waited just a little bit too long after the bullets were fired to see that they had no effect. He was close to 3 nails, but I'm going to rest him with a solid 2.5 nails in the coffin. After the 4 men were killed, Afzal shows up and he confronts the mummies. He tells them that Sutek will not have the satisfaction to be the one to claim his life. The mummies were about to attack Afzal, but he uses his own magic on himself to unalive himself. So the mummies think their mission is complete and they leave. This one was kind of tricky to rate, but I decided to give Afzal 2.5 nails in a coffin. He was an old man up against 3 magically powered mummies sent by the demon lord Sutek. The power levels were pretty much unclear, but Afzal did something similar to what Andre Toulon did at the beginning of Puppet Master. But Andre didn't have magical powers, so I'm guessing Afzal knew his time was up and he didn't want to give, like I said, the satisfaction to Sutek. However, he didn't even try and fight the mummies. Maybe he knew he was outmatched, outnumbered, and whatnot. But he did go out on his own terms, and I'm kind of torn on this one, so going back and forth, I decided that he deserves 2.5 nails in a coffin. Andre Toulon returned from his trip into the woods, and upon returning, he finds all of his friends and Afzal dead, but he quickly acts and puts all their souls into his puppets. Vigo gets turned into Drill Sergeant, which was Retro Tunneler. Latour gets turned into Cyclops, because Latour had an eye patch. Valentine gets turned into Retroblade. Duval, who was a medical student, gets turned into Dr. Death. And Afzal is Retro 6-Shooter. After the mummies kill everyone, they assume their mission was complete, so they go over to the train station, which is kind of weird. Does the train have a stop where Sutek lives? Anyways, right as Andre is starting to give life to his new friends and to the puppets, the mummies can sense that someone has a knowledge of the secret of life, so they go head back to the theater. When Andre is packing up all his new friends, the mummies arrive to kill him. They're using their blurry hand magic, and Andre drops the case. The puppets climb out, and they start organizing an attack on these 3 mummies. They're trying to choke them and stab them, and it's a weird looking scene, but it did make me smile because it did look silly. The mummies were able to shake off the majority of the puppets, and they start to approach Andre, but he goes by Retro 6-Shooter, who shoots down a chandelier, and it crashes down on the mummies, knocking all 3 of them out. Andre, feeling that he won, he packs up his new friends, and he's about to board a train to France. Only 2 of the 3 mummies were able to survive the chandelier falling on them. Sutek gives them a power-up, and they plan on capturing Elsa to lure Andre into a trap. They go to the Swiss embassy where Elsa is staying, since she is the ambassador's daughter. They tell the receptionist they have a message for Elsa, but he tells them to leave the message there. They don't want to do that. They want to know where she is. So instead, they zap him with blurry hand magic, and he is killed. This guy did nothing wrong. I'm going to give him 2 nails in a coffin. He didn't want to let the men go straight into Elsa's room. He told them to leave the message there. And he would have no inclination that he could be killed by blurry hand magic from a mummy's hand. He wasn't given a chance to do anything. You know, if you watched some of my videos before, you know that when the victim wasn't given a chance to do anything to even defend themselves, we go down the middle and give them 2 nails in the coffin. The henchmen go into Elsa's room, and she asks him, "What are you doing here?" They don't say anything other than sleep. She's zapped with some hand magic, and she falls asleep. When they're leaving, an embassy worker tries to stop them, but he is also killed by magic from one of the mummies, and because he's killed just like the receptionist. You don't even get to see what this man looks like, but he's going to get the same as the receptionist, 2 nails in a coffin. You know, he told the mummies to stop when he saw them carrying Elsa, and just like the receptionist, he had no clue this person had mummy blurry powers. He also wasn't given much of a chance, and I didn't see him do anything stupid. He was in the wrong place at the wrong time. He saw something happening. He tried to engage, but he was outmatched. So going down the middle, this embassy worker is going to get 2 nails in the coffin. Now that the henchmen have Elsa, they use Sutek powers to send a dream to Andre, showing him where Elsa is and a train. Andre receives the dream, and he knows what this means, and he changes his train to Marseille to face his final showdown. Andre, he changes tickets, and when the train leaves, he's on it. He releases his puppets, letting them know to look throughout the train. He's searching in all the cars, asking people questions about what they've seen, and it's kind of fun to see the puppets walking around and searching. They get to the last car, finding Elsa tied up like in his dream, and the 2 remaining mummies appear, and they're asking Andre for the secret of life. Andre pulls out his secret scroll with the secrets of life on it, and he asks the lead mummy, "Hey, how do you know I didn't make a copy?" This distracts the henchmen just long enough for the puppets to get into position, and they attack. Blade, Dr. Death, and Pinhead all attack one of the mummies, and they're able to knock him down. They're stabbing the crap out of him, strangling him, while Andre is fighting with the other lead mummy, but the puppets are able to kill that second mummy in the back of the train. Also, Andre is fighting with the lead henchman mummy. They're fighting back and forth. Andre gets the mummy on the floor, and he mounts him, and he's slugging him in the face a bunch of times. The mummy was able to get to his feet, and he tries his hand magic blurry powers, but Andre grabs his arm and points it away from him, and the powers shatter a window. Andre then wrestles the lead mummy over to the window. He's punching him in the face repeatedly, and eventually Andre was able to toss him out of the window, killing him. Now, I'm not going to count mummy deaths since I don't know what their powers are or how they really work. They can take bullets and multiple small stabs, but they were still killed by the puppets and tossed out of a window. Not much to go on there, so I'm not going to be able to count the mummy deaths. So, Andre saved Elsa, and the movie ends with, Andre finishing up the story that he was telling his puppets. They ask him what happened to Cyclops and the other puppets. Andre tells them that is a story for another time. I don't know if we ever will get that story, but if I had to bet, I really don't think we're ever going to find out what happened to the rest of the retro puppets. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are all my Nails in a Coffin 4 Retro Puppet Master. Here's a summary of all the nails I've awarded. Here's the average Nails in a Coffin for all the films I've covered so far. After 7 movies, Curse of the Puppet Master still has the lowest average with 1 nail in a coffin, and Retro Puppet Master has the highest average with 1.95 nails in a coffin. The Puppet MVP for this week is Retro 6-Shooter. It has Avsel's stolen it, and he taught Andre his secret, and then he unalived himself, and his soul was put into the 6-Shooter. And he pledged allegiance to Andre, his new Puppet Master, after he was placed in the puppet. He was responsible for taking out 3 of the henchmen when he shot down the chandelier, giving Andre a chance to escape. And I really did like all the puppets in the film. They all were represented very well, but Retro 6-Shooter stood out just a little bit above the rest, and he is this week's most valuable puppet. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you here next week when I cover Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys. Now, the next film in the series was Puppet Master: The Legacy, but that movie's about 90% flashback to all the previous films, so I'm going to skip over that one. Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys is set in its own universe, and it has no connection to any of the other films, but it should still be fun to cover. And we're going to nail that movie next week. Now, Green Goblin did leave me a message this week. Yeah, but I'm going to call in some help and see what good old Uncle Pete can come up with. Take care, stay safe, be good to each other. I am your friendly neighborhood Uncle Pete, and remember, with great kills, there must also come great nails.